Welcome to the final Wartales video that I will be making of the Wartales demo. I am very keen. It's going to be Wartales closed beta this week, so very exciting times. I probably would have been playing the beta had Steam approved it already, so I had been, tossing up random ideas of other things that I hadn't tried yet. And one that crossed my mind was around prisoners and how many prisoners you could possibly capture at the same time. So I've started this run to see how many prisoners I could get at once. I'm kind of making it up as I go along in terms of what I need and what I need to do. But I'm basically kicking off with crafting a few bits of armor, selling them just to make a little bit of money. So trying to capture 20 prisoners means that you need at least 400 gold worth of shackles. And 20 is the number that I've just kind of chosen. A few people on Discord threw it out there, so I thought I'd see what I could do. Trying to spend 400 gold on shackles alone, as well as wages and food for that many people, means that I know most of the resources I collect are going to go into crafting things just so I can make ends meet. I've sped the first bit of this up just because I'm really just doing a little bit of a loop to sort of get the party set to begin with. I visited the prison and bought the first 5 shackles that I can, and then I am going down and I'm doing the Lund fight, not because I'll get any prisoners from it, but I think I need to have a few characters that are fairly well able to take some hits. Otherwise I won't be able to stay in the fight and capture enough prisoners. So I'm kicking off this fight in a similar way to my last couple of videos actually. Lund is the first one to go down after the mandatory fight. And this pretty much means that after this fight I have got 5 fights remaining to capture 20 people. The math seems difficult. I'm leveling people up, putting points into Constitution. Again, I really want them to be able to take a lot of hits. And this is my Archer as well as my Ranger. I'm sticking with the 4-person party to begin with. I think it's probably the easiest way to do it because it keeps wages at a pretty good level, but also gives you a few people to, do things with. I do just check Altus Tower. There's only 4 people at Altus Tower. So again, if I'm looking at 5 battles and there's only 4 people in the fight, I need to capture every single one of them. I come back and I check the prison. So I found out now that he respawns a set of shackles every 24 hours. So I will basically need, what's that, like 16 in-game days to pass after I've bought my initial shackles, so that I have 20 available. I'm just kind of roaming around avoiding all of the fights at the moment because I don't think I'm quite ready yet for any fights. I've leveled my people up, but they don't have their heavy armor on yet, so I am just trying to collect enough materials so that I can make 2 suits of heavy armor for my swordsman and my brute. I hand in my Lund quest and I've now got some cash, which is good. I make a couple of sets of armor and buy pretty much as much food as I can carry. I did manage to stuff a few crafts up here, and yeah, I bought some more resources, so I got a little bit lucky. Most of the merchants were selling a little bit of leather and wool, and so just turning them into some gold as well. I did consider going in and getting another pony, but I didn't think I'd have the spare 150 gold in the long run, so just left it as it was to begin with. Okay, cool. So after getting my first 8 shackles and a few bits and pieces organized, I start doing just some resource loops. So my thinking here was if I try to collect as many shackles as I can first, and then basically do as many fights as I can back to back. So I'm doing some loops, just trying to kill some time, as well as collecting resources to craft gear to sell. I do check the bandit hideout just to see how much is there at the moment, and there are currently 17 enemies in there, 11 bandits and 6 poachers, and there's absolutely no way that my crew can take that on, let alone capture enough of them to do anything. But yeah, the 6 poachers in particular are a real problem when you're looking at capturing people. So to capture prisoners, the first thing you need is the shackles, which I obviously just went and got from the prison. The second thing you need is to get them below, I think it's like 10 health, something like that. At 10 health, you seem to be able to start trying to capture them. The lower the health is, the higher your chance of capturing them is though. So it's good to get them as low as possible. And the third thing you need is for that character that has low health to be engaged with an enemy. And that's why poachers are a real problem, because they knock you out of combat, you cannot capture them, and you can't engage with them again, because if you engage with them and they're on low health, one hit will kill them. Now, while I was here, I did see this group of 4 running around, and knowing that I need exactly 4, I decided I would try my luck and see how what I was doing would work. I did unequip my weapon from my swordsman. So my swordsman is just running with his fists at the moment. And he is designed to engage people and deal very, very small amounts of damage, whilst being able to soak up as many hits as he possibly can. So I get off to a pretty good start here. Everyone's doing their jobs exactly as I want. And you'll see me, use the ranger, just do some damage with the bow, the archer, do some damage with the bow before engaging, and then trying to engage with my very weak people and getting the health down as low as possible. So I'm 2 from 2 for captures so far in this fight. And this kind of style of trying to capture people led to some sort of interesting moments in combat. You end up soaking up a few more hits, but it's quite fun, quite interesting. This was just a poacher, so he wasn't doing much damage, and we eventually go, and so you can see why unequipping the sword is really useful there. And we go 4 from 4, so we have our first 4 prisoners for the run. Choosing all the level up skills was actually kind of important as well, just trying to make sure I didn't choose anything that would deal damage I didn't want to deal. So I didn't want to get the thieves knife throwing skill, which I absolutely love. The ranger's knife throwing skill, which I love. I get that, I don't know, most runs that I have done. It just deals so much extra damage. With the archer, I don't want to take anything that's going to, deal too much. And I actually ended up choosing a knockback so that I can free up one of my own combatants when I need to allow them to capture someone. So this is the second fight. Given that there were 17 people in the bandit hideout, and I know that there's no way that I can do that with my current party, I've decided to clear out the lighthouse and Altus Tower. So I head over to kick this fight off. It's against 5 bandits, marauders, that kind of thing. I think I made a few mistakes, and honestly, the way that the poachers were working and the marauder knocking people out of combat with himself as well, it ended up not going quite the way that I wanted. So I win the fight, I don't lose anybody, and I managed to capture, I think it's 3 of them in the end. So I got the first one captured, so I can't capture him because he's not in combat with anyone, so he's on low health, but there was just no way that my group was going to capture him, so I just killed him. Similarly here, and over on the right, there's no way for me to capture. So again, I just decide to go for a few a few kills instead of captures. So if I'd replayed the battle a few times, I probably could have cleaned it up and maybe captured a 4th. I don't think I could have captured 5 in this fight though. And once their numbers get low, it gets much easier to capture people, and much lower risk of losing people too. So one of my guys was dying there and poisoned, so I was on a pretty limited amount of time. I was trying not to lose characters because I didn't want to have to pay the replacement costs. So what are we up to? 7 prisoners now. Pretty good start. The food costs start becoming quite high. So I've got 40 food in my bags and it's only going to last 3 days, which is not very long at all, given how quickly you have to eat in the game. So I did, in this game, decide to walk more frequently than I have previously. So walking is, you can actually cover more distance just by walking. And I do sprint every now and again just because I get a little bit sick of going slowly. But the amount of distance you can cover when you're walking is substantially higher than if you sprint. And if I manage to walk further between meals, that is a very good thing when you are feeding this many people. Okay, cool. So look, you see me sell off most of my weapons to buy more shackles. So what have I got? 7 prisoners and 6 shackles now. So getting there. Having all the prisoners does give you additional carry weight. So you can carry an additional 5 pounds per prisoner, which is nice. And you can see they are hungry bastards though. All right. So after capturing that many prisoners, I decided that I would head off to Altus Tower as well. I forgot that there was some salt in the salt mine that I hadn't collected yet, and that I just went in and stole quickly because I knew I had a lot more food I could still cook if I only had more salt. So I head up and we get to Altus Tower pretty soon. This is battle number 5 now. And obviously with the 7 battle limit, I'm always, or trying to be quite conscious of who I'm fighting when. And this was actually not too bad a battle in the end, I think. I think it went all right. It'll come to me more as I watch it again. So number 1, done. There was a chance that I shot my own guy there, which would have been a bit embarrassing. So there you can see the poacher knocked me out of combat. So again, it's a little bit frustrating that you need to be in combat to capture somebody, or the person that you want to try to capture needs to be engaged. So you just have to wait for them to hit you. And again, having the swordsman with really low health was fantastic for most of this. So some of my guys are starting to get a bit low on health. I do manage to capture and stun him. I'm a bit worried about my ranger being killed by the archers here, so I do move my swordsman over to protect him. And I decide the guy at the bottom is not someone I can actually capture, so I just kill him. My swordsman, again, with the low health, low damage is fantastic. But I do decide I can't capture a couple of them. So I get 3 more. So 3 from 5 that time. Again, if I cleaned up the fight a little, tried a couple of times, maybe I could have captured 4 or 5. But I really didn't want to try many of these fights more than once. Just jump in, see how it goes, see how many can be captured. the lighthouse and Altus Tower are both really good locations for loot. And again, I lockpick everything I can. If it's food, I keep it. Obviously, I'm going to eat it. And if it's armor and weapons, I think I sold every single one of them. I don't think I ended up equipping any of them. So the food that people are consuming does take up quite a lot of weight in the bags, but because they're eating it, you do end up obviously going down over time weight-wise. So I've done pretty much every one of the resource loops that I wanted to do now. I've got a bunch of resources which I can craft things with. I am going to need more money again soon. And I'm back up to 5 shackles now. So 10 people, 5 shackles. 3 days worth of food. The food is the thing that I'm looking at now. Food and cash. So I have a couple of knowledge points at the moment, and I go ahead and make a couple of weapons. Weapons sell for quite a lot of money. I just looked at the resources I had available and just sort of figured out what I could make the most of. Making a couple of those and selling them off ended up netting me back up to about 600 gold. Make some medicine and then sell them back to him just for, again, make some more money. All about the money. All right, and here begins the mass purchase of food. So we're now up to 113 food, or 7 days worth. And that's pre-cooking as well. So I've bought a lot of food that I can cook. And I've sold all bar 3 medicine there. So we've got a couple of 100 gold remaining, and we have to pay some wages. And we've cooked up our food to get it up to 150. Alrighty, so this is the last section that I hadn't gathered resources on. So I've sped this up to 8 times just to kind of get through it a little bit quicker. Last little bit of resource gathering, and my plan from here is that I need to do the bandit lair. So to do the bandit lair, I wanted to aim to capture as many people as I could from that fight. It's always going to be a hard one because it is a very large fight, and so making sure that your people remain unengaged whilst theirs are on low health and engaged is always going to be tricky. Maybe I didn't spend all the resources yet. There we go. Make some more things, sell some more things. And this also gets another couple of days to pass, so I knew I needed some more shackles still. Pick up any salt or food that had been restocked. And off we go to get our last set of shackles. Oh yeah, just before going, I did decide to see whether I could hire somebody. Because I've got so many prisoners, I actually need 130 influence as well as, I don't know, I think it was like 260 gold to hire somebody, and I obviously don't have that much influence, so didn't happen. I did think I needed somebody else for the bandit camp fight. So I did try run straight there and do it with 4 people. And at the end of this video, there's actually, like, you can see the fight where I did this with 4 people and it froze. It was a really tough fight with 4. I managed to win it and capture 4 people, but it was just before it froze anyway, but it was very close. So anyway, here I go pick up my shackles. I thought that I could capture a maximum of about 8 people, so I wanted 8 shackles. which I've got. I then decided to go and collect Hackett, and he proves extremely useful to bring along in this fight. And the team is ready, so off we go. So I'm starting to run a little bit lower on cash now, so I have just under 3 days or 3 pays worth of wages, but I did figure that if I won the bandit camp, I'd have some extra loot to sell and some extra prisoners to carry more as well. So I didn't think that I'd have to drop much that I was already carrying. Okay, so this is the bandit fight, bandit hideout. So I got 9 opponents, and I got a pretty good split of like 3-3-3, where all my guys were together in the center there. It's the first time I've seen a layout like this. It was a little odd, but it did make the fight significantly easier than the one where I was only a 4-person party. I've done the fight in 2 times speed instead of 4, so that you can just kind of see some of the things that I'm looking at. And 4, there are quite a number of decisions to make. So I end up going for the 3 people closest to me, and I want to try to get the 3 people at the bottom of the screen away from me, keep them away from me for as long as possible. So my aim is to take out and capture the 3 closest to me, move on to whoever's closest by then, and then mop up the remainder after that. So capture number 1. It is tricky trying to figure out where to go sometimes and who I want to attack, because you have to try to not kill everybody. And it's much easier to kill them than capture them. So I leave my brute sort of over on that side. I want him to soak up all the poacher fire. So there's only 2 poachers in this fight, and they're both off to the right. I want him to soak up the poacher fire, and I don't really care whether he's engaged or not. I'm kind of trying to capture everyone over near the swordsman first of all. So I get the swordsman to engage again. My poor archer starts getting attacked, so I've got to start being careful with him. Again, I want to try to keep people alive because I've still got 1 fight after this, or should have 1 fight left after this. Capture number 2, successful. The Ranger smoke bomb skill is great, again, for being able to get your crew to disengage. And they get really lucky here with 2 crits in a row on my Ranger. So I was thinking that they were going to die. I didn't move my brute over to protect him yet though, because I also didn't want my archer to die. Now I get really lucky here. Their poacher actually runs and shoots their own bandit in the back. So that is the only thing that saved my Ranger from certain death there. So with my archer here, I'm trying to decide who I can attack. Now, the 2 bandits at the bottom, they're likely to die. And as you see, even though one of them wasn't guaranteed to die, he did. I rolled a maximum damage shot. So there goes 1 bandit I can't capture. I didn't want to use the other archer skill because it would have knocked him out of combat and I still couldn't have captured him. Okay, so I know I need to get someone over to help my Ranger, otherwise he is going to die. He's poisoned as well, so he's very close to death's door. I've been playing some Darkest Dungeon too as well. Great fun, good game. Alright, so their poacher knocks me out of combat again and almost signs the death warrant for that Ranger there. My archer, again, rolls high and kills someone. Unfortunate. And I managed to just save my ranger with a clutch heal here, the last action point that I had available. And I think I probably should have saved more action points from the start of the fight. All right, another capture there. So up to 3 captures and 2 kills so far this fight. As I said, as the numbers in the fight start to get lower, it starts to get easier and easier to capture them. I think if you came in with a big party, you'd probably end up finding even more captures as well. But the larger party would mean higher wages and more food, of course, too. So harder to sustain in the long run. So here I was really trying to figure out how I could deal a little bit more damage, but also keep people safe. So I knew I had no more heals available. All my healing is gone. No more action points. So I can't disengage if I get into a bad fight. Now there's 2 poachers left, so that was another capture. So we're at 4 captures, 2 kills. And these marauders knocking people out of combat is also another frustrating one, similar to the poachers. So 3 of them left. I cannot use my rangers anymore because my rangers are in kill range for all of them. That marauder has both vulnerable and frail or something, weak. Takes a lot of extra damage at the moment. So an archer shot would kill him too, so couldn't do that. So just running in and trying to attack these guys whilst doing, as I said, a small amount of damage. So I kind of just passed the turn on the rangers a number of times in a row here. Until I start chipping away. Five captures, 2 kills. More passing, more chipping away. And this is why I wanted my team to have so much constitution. I needed them to be able to take hits for the whole battle and not die from it. So you can see my brute is still pretty low. My swordsman's actually still in pretty good health, all things considered, but he wasn't in the brunt of the fight for most of it. Another capture, so what's that, 5 and 2 now? 6 and 2? 6 and 2. But here the game stuffs up. So I end a round attempting a capture and fail it. Or maybe I was successful, I'm not sure. I don't think it said missed, but it seemed to break the game. Nothing I did would unfreeze it. He was a certain capture. It was just a matter of time. So I had 7 captures, plus the original 10 put me at 17. However, I didn't want to repeat this fight. So this is actually the second time that I'd tried the fight. And so I just quit the game. As a little bit of a bonus, I thought I would show you the first time that I tried this fight. So it's the same 9 enemies, but this time I only have 4 characters. I might as well stay and provide a little bit of commentary on this one too. But it was a really interesting fight. Trying to figure out how to get as many captures here as possible whilst staying alive was tough. I really like the way that this fight ended up playing out, and hence leaving it in just as a little bit of a bonus. So the swordsman deflection skill is a little bit broken at the moment. It does mean that he takes a lot less damage. He doesn't take no damage, and there are times when it seems to fall off and he starts getting hit quite hard again. He's still protected by poison as well, so poison still does damage too. But you will see him take a lot of hits in this fight until he gets up to something like 25, 26 stacks of poison. And that's pretty much game over for him. I think there is a little bug. One of the enemies here, one of the bandits, just seems to keep hitting him for poison again and again and again. Look, I'm not reporting all these bugs anymore because the closed beta is coming out soon. I know they're going to have made so many changes to the game that everything I know about it is probably not going to help me very much, and I'll have to relearn a whole bunch of it. But I am looking forward to it. So I get a little bit unlucky at the start of this fight. I missed 2 or 3 captures in a row, and trying a capture this early in a fight is not great because you lose your whole turn doing it. And if you lose too many turns and the enemy just keep wailing on you, your health starts to get a lot lower. So my archer starts getting attacked as well. And I didn't save many of my action points. So I probably, again, could have managed these slightly better at the beginning of this battle. And the slowdown from that archer arrow was actually really, really handy for any kind of kiting or just moving around and trying to have fewer enemies attacking you at any point in time. I really, really liked the swordsman not having any weapon. It did mean that I could just do those little chip punches and actually was way more successful in capturing people because of it. So here I start to get a few people low, but the problem is that not many of them are engaged. So I just get my second capture there. But I realise that there are too many enemies and my health is starting to get a little bit too low. Third capture. And I'm up to 16 stacks of poison there. So he's taking 16 damage at every turn. Nothing I can do about it. Oh, and actually nothing, I mean, this time. Usually you could use a heal on them for an action point. I have no other characters that can heal other than that swordsman, so there's literally no chance. I try another capture and I fail, which is not amazing, and just end the turn there. So everyone I have is already engaged, other than the ranger. But if the ranger goes back to capture here, the poachers in the back will get some free shots and they will start killing people very quickly. So here I do decide to use my final action point on my ranger's disengage smokescreen skill. Gets a couple of people out of fighting, allows me to do a little bit of extra damage, and allows the ranger to go and engage one of the poachers so that it reduces the damage from the poacher. I did know that raider was going to re-engage, which would give me, that bandit would re-engage, which would give me another capture chance too. What I didn't expect was that marauder to go up and attack my archer. Now, had he not, I would have just run the archer down, wouldn't have been a problem, and tried to capture that bandit. That marauder had 2 targets that were closer, so I'm not too sure what the AI decision was there, but it was actually a very annoying move from it. So I actually just used the disengage skill and take 20 damage for the archer. I was a bit worried that it was the wrong decision, but it did allow me another capture, so we're up to 4 captures. And at the end of the battle here, I start looking at my health and the poison stacks I've got on people, and I've got 3 enemies that can knock back out of combat, and I know that it's definitely not going to go my way if this battle goes on for much longer. So at this point, I do start. I keep in mind. I look for any captures I can get, but ultimately it just starts to be who's going to kill the other person first. So yep, Swordsman's up to 24 stacks of poison. He's got 1 turn left alive. My Ranger and my Archer both are under 10 health, so they are both, again, 1 hit from death. Luckily they can hit pretty hard, so they managed to take out that poacher over on the left. And the last 2 enemies, so if that Marauder engaged and didn't knock someone back, it would have been okay. I stupidly ran my 2 characters next to each other, and that Marauder had a field day and killed my Swordsman, so that was a bit disappointing. I'm still actually holding out some small amount of hope that I can get another capture, so I do try to, but I fail. My Archer gets attacked and he's on death's door. I do attempt to see whether you can capture when you're this hurt, but no, you cannot, alas. Take him out. I wanted to attempt 1 more capture, and at this point the game froze again. I couldn't select a character, I couldn't take any actions, and I couldn't do anything at all. So I hadn't tried a capture there. I'm not too sure what caused it to freeze.